Hello everyone. Today I'm going to address a recent controversy that has arisen in the BookTube community, and this is regarding authors and their interactions with reviewers and fans on BookTube. Now, this is very specific to an incident that I was actually indirectly part of, and I would like to address this. Normally, I would stay out of these sorts of things, but since I was actually there, I had a front row seat, and I feel compelled to lay out the facts, if you will, and I hope to do so in a manner that is respectful of everyone involved. I do not wish to accuse anyone of anything. I simply want everyone to know the facts. And here they are as I understand them. Fairly recently, I was involved in a discussion of Steven Erikson's Deadhouse Gates with some of my fellow booktubers. These included the Counselor of Moonspawn and Iskar Jarek and Andy Smith and Alan from the Library of Alexandria. Our discussion was hosted on Alan's channel. During the course of our discussion of Deadhouse Gates, the topic of Felicin came up. Felicin is a character in the book, and she is a character who has been, over the years, something of a lightning rod, if you will. And this is because some of the fans of the series and readers have expressed a great deal of distaste for this particular character. And this is a character who suffers much. She is a young woman, approximately 15 years old, who goes through some terrible, horrible things, some awful ordeals. And I'm not going to get into the specifics of that, but we had a discussion of this character. And in the course of our discussion, we had a little disagreement, and it was friendly because those of us who were involved in the discussion are friends. In particular, I had a brief exchange with Alan about the character Felicin, whom Alan does not like. And Alan, whom I consider a very close friend, one of the most lovable persons on BookTube, and it's been my privilege to interact with him in many collaborations, he expressed his dislike for this character, which Alan will do. If you know Alan at all, you know that he is very honest in his assessments. And so I raised the somewhat broader issue, beyond just Alan's personal like or dislike of this character. I raised the broader issue in the course of our discussion about the reaction, the fan reaction to this character, and her portrayal and some of the words used about this character seemed to me that there could be some misogyny in the reception of this character, because she is a young woman who is put in a situation where, yes, she becomes bitter and she becomes angry, and that's because a lot of horrible things happen to her. And it's interesting, though, because the people that she's with also go through some horrible things and say some awful things and do some awful things, but they don't seem to provoke the same level of anger as Felicin does for some reason. So we had, I think, a very nice discussion on this. And I brought up the word misogyny. I did not accuse Alan of being a misogynist. He knows that. And so this is, by the way, this is not the controversy. This is merely what sparked the controversy. So after our discussion was posted, of course, many viewers left comments. And one viewer left a comment that expressed the opinion that Felicin was in some measure responsible for herself, that she made some poor moral decisions. And this led to an exchange with another viewer. And this exchange went back and forth with both of these viewers. In my opinion, I did read all these comments, and both viewers were, I think, articulate and expressed themselves with, I would say, for the most part, respectfully, although it did get a bit heated. One defending Felicin and expressing the notion that we do not have the right to judge this character so much, and the other conveying the idea that Felicin bears responsibility. So this exchange happened, and it is something you could still, I think, see on Alan's channel if you're curious at all. But ultimately, this is what happened. Steven Erikson left a brief comment in this thread between these two, supporting the viewer who was inclined not to judge Fellowson. And that's that for the video. Consequently, Steven Erikson also put out a Facebook post, an essay that was inspired by this particular incident. Not the video, not the discussion that I and Alan and the others were having on Fellowson. It was clear that Steven Erikson was reacting to the thread, the exchange between the two commenters. So this is the first thing that I'm trying to clear up here. There seems to be a notion out there that somehow Steven Erikson was attacking Alan from the Library of Alexandria. This is not the case from where I sit. This is not the case at all. And I think that an impartial look at the exchange and at our discussion and at Steven Erikson's Facebook post would bear that out. So that is the first thing that I want to get out there. By the way, Andy Smith has already made a video on this topic, and I think he did a remarkably good job of addressing not only this particular incident, but interactions between authors and booktubers in general. I highly recommend that you check out his video. He does just a very honest and respectful job of it. So I will put a link, of course, in the description below to what Andy Smith has to say. In fact, what I'm doing now really is I'm just trying to back up Andy, because I think that is important. So this is me really just backing up what Andy is saying. My account agrees pretty closely with Andy's. I think there's one minor detail where we differ a little bit, but you see there's perspective involved in this. Nevertheless, the heart of what Andy is saying, I just want to repeat, and which is to say that Steven Erikson was not attacking Alan. It does not mention Alan. He does not mention the two viewers who had the exchange by name. Now, he does, in his essay on Facebook, address this issue of the reception of Fellowson. And I think you need to understand the context of the history of how this character has been received. And Erikson, in his Facebook post, also, I think, by posing the question, what if this were a male character? Would the male character receive the same amount of anger as Fellowson has had over the years? So I think you have to understand that Erikson was reacting, yes, specifically to this exchange between these two individuals who were reacting to our video discussion. And Erikson was also reacting in large part to the discussions around Fellowson that have happened for the last decade or more. So that context, I think, is important. And that's really it. That is the actual incident. Now, somehow or other, this incident, I think, and I don't know how, and I'm going to assume that everyone who has spoken on it has done so from a place of honesty. But I do believe that this incident has been misunderstood by some individuals, some of my colleagues, whom I wish to be respectful toward. So that is that. And I also want to comment briefly on my own particular take on our interactions, our meaning booktubers, with the authors whose works we analyze and criticize and discuss. Now, one thing I want to make clear is that the discussion was a discussion. It was not a review. I also want to make clear that I personally think, this is my own personal view, and I'm definitely open to other people's opinions on this, but I believe that when I put a video out in public, I literally have a button that I have to push that says public to make the video public, so I'm putting it out there. I believe that anyone has the right to comment on the opinions that I express. And this includes the author, I believe. I think that that would be only fair. To exclude only one individual from commenting on the video, especially a discussion, would be, I think, unfair. And I don't think that anyone has the right, of course, to write a disrespectful comment or a comment that is, disparaging to an individual. I think that we talk about the issues. We don't attack people. So all that, I think is where I stand on authors interacting with booktubers. I also think that in the case of Steven Erikson, he's not the only author to interact with booktubers. He may be one of the better known ones to do it. And I think those of us who have interacted with Steven Erikson on YouTube through our videos have been delighted to do so. I don't know of like Andy, I don't know of a single instance where Steven Erikson wrote a comment on a negative review of his books. His comments have always been, on our videos, have always been encouraging and interacting with us on the issues, on the themes. And it has been actually a huge honor and a joy to have him come and interact with us in this way. So I think I speak for the vast majority, if not all of us Malaz-tubers. And of course I am biased, and I admit this. I am biased. I love Steven Erikson's writing, and I have had the chance to speak with him one-on-one and briefly, and also in a video that I did with my friend A.P. Canavan. And I hope to speak with Steven Erikson very soon again. So I am biased, yes. But I will tell you this, that I have interacted with this human being, this author, and I find him to be an incredibly generous, warm-hearted, caring individual. And I think that it's easy for us to think of a person as not a person, as an author. And I would like to, for myself, bear in mind that the people whose books I'm talking about are human beings. And I think that would be a good thing for all of us to bear in mind. And to be generous in our interpretations of what individuals are doing. Personally, I would like to encourage any authors who would like to leave comments on my videos. I think that would be fantastic. Even if an author wants to disagree with me, I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't think that my channel is some sacred space where no one can disagree with me. And I also think that people have addressed the power dynamic involved here, that an author might have a greater following and that an author can sick his or her followers onto a critical viewer. And this thing has happened, so that is a legitimate concern. This has not happened in the case of Steven Erikson. This is not what this is. This is not how I perceive this at all. So yes, I do understand that worry, but in this case, I don't think that it applies. Steven Erikson, as I said, has only been encouraging and kind in his interactions with booktubers thus far. And I have not personally seen any evidence to the contrary. So this is my take on this issue, and I realize that some people will have differing opinions, but I did feel it was important for me to address this as someone who was involved in the initial incident that sparked all of this, and as a booktuber. I feel that I would like to just have it out there that I personally think it's great for authors to interact with us, of course respectfully, of course in a manner that is not a personal attack. And again, I have not seen anything of that nature from Steven Erikson. So once again, please check out Andy's video. It really is I think, a very fair and respectful and open-minded approach to this whole thing. And this is, again, me just trying to back him up. And I hope that my colleagues on BookTube will understand that I do not mean to disrespect any of them. And I'm simply trying to put out my own personal view of the incident that seems to have sparked, to my surprise, frankly, the reaction that it has had. But these things do happen. So in the interest of clarity, I hope that I have helped out a little bit here. And I thank you very much for watching.